What's up, y'all? Back with another Fair Shake review. And this time we're going to be checking out Migos Culture 3. Yes, let's go. Migos is a group that I definitely have been aware of for quite some time. But they've never been a group that made me extremely excited. That was not a reflection of how I felt on, the Migos. But I mean, maybe. Migos is a group that I've never been super excited to hear music from. Like they have a couple of good songs that I can enjoy, but for the most part their music isn't something that quite appeals to me. It's definitely way more hood, way more trap. They lead the way in a lot of that sound. They're definitely one of the faces of the new trap rap in Atlanta. And so that's why I pay attention. And they end up doing some good stuff. Even when they did individually, they had some interesting songs here and there, and I would be like, okay, this one is kind of cool, but for the most part, it's just not quite for me. Beats end up being pretty cool to sometimes lackluster, and so when I knew this project was coming out, I was just hoping maybe they would elevate a little bit more now that they've got to kind of spend some time developing their own sound. And soloists, now they're finally coming back together again to do Culture 3. The whole Culture series has been such a huge landmark in their career. Even though some people were disappointed with some of Culture 2. They knew that if they're gonna continue the Culture series, Culture 3 has to be on point. So I was hoping they would possibly elevate even more, since I've seen some growth in them as separate artists. But unfortunately, I feel like it's almost still the same energy that they've brought before, which is something that a lot of people really enjoy. There is some small sections in the album where they do show a little bit more maturity than they've had in some of their past work together. But for the most part, you're gonna get the same old Migos that is here to make you do this and just vibe out, get in the club, maybe get some more twerking on you, go ahead, get your weed, smoke up. It's that kind of music, and that's not really things that I really gravitate towards. Like if you're gonna get me that club stuff, I have to hear some more cleverness than what I'm usually hearing from the Migos, and it's also laced in with some of that street stuff that just I'm very particular when it comes to that. So it's just not something that's necessarily my cup of tea. But there were some pretty interesting features. Drake has his feature. He had so much on that song. It might as well have been like, it could have been a Drake featuring Migos song, in my opinion. And they had the Cardi B feature, which was actually a little bit disappointing for me. I feel like Cardi could have came harder. This was my first time really listening to Polo G, and I thought he was okay. Then Future was on Picasso, and that was an alright feature. I was like, oh, is that Future? And then I was like, oh yeah, it is Future. Okay, that's interesting. They sound pretty good together. Got Justin Bieber on What You See, which actually did sound like it fit, having a Justin feature, which was kind of nice. It didn't sound super out of place, and I guess it helps that they've got to collaborate before on like the DJ Khaled stuff, so they know what sound works for each other together. But it still wasn't something that necessarily interested me. It was cool hearing a Juice World feature on here. Rest in peace. But it was definitely interesting hearing him like enter in the Migos world, since they do kind of have slightly different sounds. But you know, it was interesting hearing that together. Then the Pop Smoke feature was very appropriate. I think it sounded very good together. Still not quite a song I would want to listen to, but they did sound really good together. And then Young Boy Never Broke Again. NBA Young Boy, we all know it's NBA Young Boy. They you know did what they needed to do. So you know, some pretty decent features. Some of them, you know, had more to be desired, but for the most part, they all sounded pretty good, you know, together. But the only song that I know that I will end up returning to is Why Not. This one I did feel like felt the chemistry was on point. There is enough clever lines, even though the beat isn't extremely, you know, innovative or anything. I still like it. They wrote it well, and I feel they brought out the best parts of that beat. And it even somewhat gives me Bad and Bougie vibes, which I feel is like one of their, you know, better singles that they've released, because, you know, I like Bad and Bougie. What I like it took me a little bit to like hop on the Bad and Bougie train when it was big, but eventually I got it. I understood like the appeal of it, and I was like, yeah, I think I kind of like this song too. But forget Lil Uzi Vert. Ew, gross. Sorry. Sorry, personal thoughts getting in there. But yeah, Why Not? I liked, and there were some pretty good lines in there, especially from Takeoff. Takeoff really is kind of like one of the dudes who gets some really good lines off, and I really got to notice that in this project. Like Takeoff, he's a witty one, man. He's a witty one. But yeah, their flows still on point as usual. You know, they got their typical signature flow, and they're able to switch up the patterns from here to there, and they do well. I just felt like they did it best on Why Not, and that's the one track that I know that I will come out with. But I wonder what you guys think. What are you guys thinking of the project? Did you quite enjoy it? I know some people were disappointed. Some reviewers that I've seen weren't as thrilled. People that have liked their projects before, but you know, I want to know the people who are fans. So what are the fans saying? I want to hear it down below. Are you enjoying it? If you enjoyed my review, you can hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. I don't mind. But if you want to see more reviews and reactions, you can end up hitting the subscribe button as well. In the description box, I do have a Patreon link if you want to help support your boy and his efforts to continue to put out this content on a regular basis. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Until next time, much love, peace.